Hello, movie lovers everywhere. Yes, community chat. Rick Leaves, one of the new grumpy old gentlemen on film, asked a question. Is there a movie that has made an impact on your life? And I would have to say yes, definitely. There might even been a few movies in the beginning of my movie watching that made an impact. And the reason why I do what I do, the reason why I have all these movies that I have and love watching movies. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Let's jump in the time machine, batten down and do up your buckle and all that stuff. Make sure you got some water with you. Let's go back in time. Let's go down. We're going to St. John, New Brunswick, where I was born. I've not always lived in Toronto. Yeah, I came up to Toronto when I was 1962 I arrived here. Yes. So down in New Brunswick, we call it Uptown. We call it Uptown. Where the movies are, the stores are, Kresge's, playing things like that. We used to call it Uptown. We walked up this viaduct. It was a viaduct there on Main Street. Of course, it's not there anymore. It's a 4-lane highway as far as I know. But I don't know everything because I've never been back. But anyway, it's a Saturday. My sister and I are going to the show. So we walk up the viaduct, we get to the show. I think at the time there might have been 3 or 4 shows within a certain area. We went to this show. My sister took me. She was probably a year and a bit older than me. Yeah, we were old enough to go to the show. So we went to the show. It was 1959. So the first show I went and seen, the first movie I remember seeing, now of course, what we're talking about, impact. All right, so my sister takes me to the show. Like I said, she's a year older than me or something like that. She's, So we went and seen House on Haunted Hill, that black and white movie with Vincent Price, 1959. I was probably 8 years old. Yes, I was able to go to this show. Down in New Brunswick in 1959, 1960, the houses, wherever you lived out, we lived in what they call a flat. Of course, we didn't know that then, but I knew it later, but it was a flat. We lived on the 2nd floor. And when you used to leave, wherever you went, you never locked the door. No, nobody down in New Brunswick, or as far as I know, hardly anybody locked their door. They just went out and left and closed the door behind them. But anyway, let's get back to the movies. My sister took me to the show. Her name's Dale. She's a year and a bit older than me, so she could have been 10, and I was probably 8, 9, something like that. So yeah, there we are. We go to the show, we walk in the show. It was packed. I remember there's a lot of people there. A lot of people for Saturday afternoon. It had to be afternoon. So we got I'm pretty sure we had some popcorn and the drinks. Back then, at the show, they never really had that much stuff to eat, right, other than popcorn and a drink. I think they might have had some of those Rolos or those chocolate things or caramel in them or something. And some other little candies. But they didn't have much. Some chocolate bar, a couple of chocolate bars and stuff. But we're not talking a whole big friggin' stand there for an hour and see what you're going to buy. So we're sitting there, and the theater's filling up. We got a seat. We're sitting there, and it's, now it's shut the lights off, it's dark now, right? There's murmuring, people chatting, talking a little bit, not too bad. So that's it, right? So we're sitting there. Everything's starting to get quiet now. And all of a sudden, up in the corner, way up there in the corner, this curtain box type thing opens up. And this skeleton comes sliding out of a rope down among the people, like low. Not that you could touch it, but it came out and it came rolling around this rope and it scared the ever-loving shit right out of you. Everybody was screaming and yelling. Oh. I think I spilled some of my popcorn, a little bit anyway, just by shaking it. Yeah, and then then the music started, and the screaming. Remember the movie, right? They're screaming in the movie, right? If you at the beginning, they're screaming and stuff. Man, I remember that like it was yesterday, just like it was yesterday. Now did that movie make an impact on me when I was 8 or 9 years old? Yeah, friggin' did. I remember that. I remember that right now, just like it was yesterday. My sister sitting there, and we're screaming our heads off, and everybody in the theater screaming, right? And then those faces that come on the screen, and the screaming and the yelling and stuff. Whoa, man. Yeah. And then another movie that made an impact on my life that I'll never forget. I went to the show. I don't remember now. Did Dale take me? She might have took me too, or we would have went together, or whatever they want to call it. I went and seen The Magnificent Seven. Yeah. The Western, Yul Brynner. I went and seen that at the show. Yeah, that made an impact, right? So, and then the movie that I first saw, I'm pretty sure it was one of the first movies I saw when I came up from St. John. It was 1962. I went to a show that was at, I think it was just above Yonge Street, or Queen. It was on Yonge Street, above Queen Street. Most of you probably won't know what I'm talking about. But it was just above Queen Street on Yonge. I think it was called the Pantages. Maybe I'm wrong. But I went there, and this theater, this theater was huge. Right? It had a balcony. You look behind you, and you can see the people up in the balcony. And you can actually see cigarette smoke through the lens of the movie that's showing. So that's where they smoked there. I was sitting downstairs on the first, I'd say the first 3, 4 rows from the front, because that was the only, seats left. So I went in there and sat down, on the big screen. Then the music started playing. Dum, 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 dum. The drum, boom, 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 and this opened up, and there's a big picture of sand and a helmet. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, that made an impression, deep impression. 1962. D-Day. John Wayne. Yeah, that made quite an impression. So all those 3 movies, basically in the beginning, they made an impact. A little while later, I was staying up late on, I don't know, was it Friday night or Saturday night, young. We used to watch the black and white movies that came on. I think it was CBC. Then again, I could be wrong again. We're talking friggin' almost 60 years ago, so. Stay up late, everybody else wants to bed. I'm sitting in the front room on the couch, probably 11:30, they start. Yeah, it was Frankenstein, it was Dracula, it was a Wolfman, it was all these movies, sci-fi movies, came from outer space, all these movies. Next thing you know, watching all those movies in the early 60s, what did I start doing? Started buying comic books. This led to comic books. And then it led to Super 8 movies, Super 8s, and a film projector. Yeah, and now it led me, let's skip all everything else and that's the Reader's Digest version, as I always, most of the time I do. Then we get to the point as life goes on. That one movie, House on Haunted Hill, impacted my whole life and got to me to where I am today. Yeah. Buying movies, collecting movies, I don't know. But yeah, so that's what it did. Collecting comic books, collecting monster books, because monster books had the old movies in the back and the ads and stuff, like Frankenstein and Dracula. So just one movie, House on Haunted Hill, impacted my whole life. Yeah. So that's the answer to that question. To Rick Gleaves, the new kid on the block, one of the new members of the Grumpy Old Gentleman on Film? And there's your answer. The answer is yes. I was deeply impacted by a movie. Started me off on this venture that I am on. My life's a venture. One thing is, wherever I went and whatever I did, I watched movies. Yes. So that's it, people. That's my impression of impact on your life. What movie or movies? And that's the answer. So there you go. Talk to you later.